Thinking about a river cruise? Concerned about water levels? Well, this video is for you. Stay tuned. To help take the mystery out of high and low water levels is my guest, Lauren Matthews of Cruise and Travel Specialists. Hi, Lauren. Welcome to Just River Cruises on RTE Travel Talk.
Hi, Ken. How are you?
Great. It's wonderful to have you back. So, Lauren,
Yeah.
today I want to talk about something that's on the minds of a lot of people when they're thinking about river cruises, and that's high and low water levels. You always see people kind of panicking. Oh my gosh, what's going to happen? What's going to go on with it? So I thought we could spend a little time today and you can give us the skinny on water levels. How's that sound?
I'd love to.
Perfect. So where do we start?
Well, water levels are one of the first things that people usually ask me about when they call. We joke, my mom's joke is if I could predict that, I wouldn't be a travel agent. I'd be a billionaire psychic, can predict weather. Yeah. And of course, we don't know when it's going to happen. We can hedge our bets a little bit and we, help people through those decisions. Most people think of low water first. Right. That's their first issue, right? Because we think low water, we're in the ground, we can't go anywhere. And it's funny because I go, well, you have to worry about high water too. And they're like, wait, what? And I'm like, yeah, well, if you can't get under the bridge or through the lock, it's the same situation. You're stuck. We cannot predict them, obviously. Yep. High water is usually more prevalent in the spring because of all the rain in the winter and the snow melt and everything. And then as we get into later summer, early fall is when we see the water levels that are lower. It's not something that we can predict, but it is something that we can help you navigate.
Okay. So in reality, when you think about it though, how often does it happen, Lauren? Should it be something that people are always panicking about?
Absolutely not. Yeah. Should not be something that people are always panicking about. I mean, 90% of our people go without issue, I would say. They have contingency plans in place too. Every cruise line has a contingency plan. So it's not something to panic about. Right. And again, it's not something we can control. It's the same idea of like you're going to Hawaii and it rains the whole week. Like, that's a bummer, but like you're going to find other things to do and you'll find ways to entertain yourself and you'll certainly have a different experience. One kind of silver lining that we have found is that we have clients that come back and say, yeah, of course we weren't thrilled about it when it happened, but the crew handled it really well. And we actually got to go see this town that we wouldn't have ever seen. So it's a unique experience. And really, they try so hard to make it even better because they know you're going to be disappointed.
No, exactly. So how do river cruise companies handle these situations as they arise?
That depends a lot on the river cruise company, I will say, because a lot of the larger companies, Viking obviously has a ton of ships. So what they'll do is they kind of meet them up and then move people from one to the other. And hopefully they can just get past that one low spot or high spot. Other options, of course, are busing people different places. Again, the reality of you having your river cruise completely changed, like all 7 days, let's say, of gone from river cruising to busing is so small. Right. It can't, but it has happened, and they will bus you to different locations. They'll turn it into kind of a land tour. Most of the cruise lines do offer some sort of compensation for that because they know that's not what you signed up for and paid for. But again, it's not like they're busing you to these gross hotels or something. Like they're keeping the level of accommodation and service that you've come to expect and that you're prepared for. But they do as much as they can. Right. To mitigate those issues. And I'm talking moving ships and moving people and moving crews and helping everyone through that. They're not just like, hey, throw your backpack on your back, let's go. I mean, they're like, oh, let's move your luggage and, all those things. Yeah. So it's really not quite as traumatic, I think, as people think.
It's not. Yeah. So it's really not as you say, a traumatic thing. So just so I understand, when you say they bring one ship and then another ship together, basically what's happening, let's say, for example, it's high water, and we'll use Viking as an example because I believe they've got probably the most ships in Europe. Mm-hmm. They'll pull up one ship to one side of the lock or bridge. They'll bring another ship to the other side of that, where that bridge is that they can't get underneath, at a convenient dock, and then they just transfer people.
They just swap.
Yeah.
And that's the thing with river cruises in general and with all of the river cruise lines. it's pretty easy to swap because we're not talking
Yeah.
about, a 3,000 passenger ocean ship
Yeah.
meeting a 1,500 passenger ocean ship. We're talking about 120 people meeting
Yeah.
120 people, and you're in the same room
Yeah.
number, and whoop,
So they just
so
switch. So, but on that, just so people don't get the wrong impression, they don't call you up at 8:30 in the morning and say pack up all your stuff because today you're going to move to a different ship. They do all of it, right?
yes, and they know well in advance. So they have a contingency plan. Sometimes we get those notified before people even leave. Hey, we have to change. A lot of times it will just be like embarkation, like, oh, we can't get into Basel, so we're going to push it down an hour down the river and we're going to put you in here. But, everyone who had transfers already from, let's say, Zurich to Basel, we're just going to take you Zurich to Bryson or wherever we're going
Right.
and get you on the ship there.
Right on. Right on. So, what are some of the most common questions that you've fielded over the years with people with concerns about high and low water levels?
Probably the biggest one is if there's one specific reason that they're going. Like they're like, if we miss X, then this trip is like not worth going on. So we kind of talk about, okay, the likelihood of you missing, your stop in Vienna, or the likelihood of you missing this World War II tour or whatever. But again, in the world of travel, the best advice I can give you is to be flexible. Anyone who's been in an airport understands
Yeah.
that. I mean, I remember as a kid when we missed our connection and I just started crying and my mom looked at me and said, what's that going to do? That's just, we just have to figure it out and move on. And, the next day is an adventure. So the biggest thing is people ask like, oh, will insurance cover it? No, insurance is not going to cover it if they have to cancel a stop. Again, a lot of cruise lines, if they do it in advance, will even offer if you want to move. But again, we've got air going, we've got hotels, we've got pre and post, we've got lots of things.
Yeah.
So for the most part, people are pretty understanding and flexible. And again, now you're going somewhere that you wouldn't. It's not like they're just going to stop and be like, okay, well, we're just going to do Nuremberg for 5 days. Everyone enjoy. That's not what will happen.
Right. They're going to do their very best to give you a great experience, even if you can't get to every single stop.
Exactly. And to be honest with you, again, unless it's a stop that you're like, oh, my great grandparents got married here or something, like there's so much to see in all of these regions
Yeah.
that there's certainly wonderful, viable options
Yeah.
to go to other places.
Is there anything that your guests would need to know to be better prepared for such an eventuality?
I mean, having a great travel advisor is key to help you navigate that and help you prepare. But again, be flexible, enjoy the ride. You don't know where it's going to take you. And that's the reality for any travel. You can prepare and think what's going to happen in your mind, and then something completely different happens. We hope that it doesn't happen to our clients. We don't like those emails, and we don't like communicating that, but we do.
Yeah.
And again, I have yet to have anyone say like, oh, we shouldn't have gone. Our trip was ruined. We have clients that say, oh my gosh, we missed this and we were bummed about that, but we got to see this really cool town, or they were so wonderful and they gave us this refund and they were so great and blah, blah, blah. And
Yeah.
so it always tends to work out. But I think just being flexible in any sort of travel and just being able to roll with it is going to make your experience so much better.
Flexibility is key.
It is.
Yeah. So is there a particular time of year that might be more stable than others, or could you run into this at basically any time of year?
Well, I mean, one year we had high levels at Christmas markets. So again, you don't know what you're running into, and we really can't prepare. You just like anything else, you can hedge your bets, right? There's hurricane season in the Caribbean, but there's been hurricanes outside of hurricane season. So we're happy to help you hedge your bets and also to help you pick itineraries that if, for example, you want to make sure you hit this one spot, we pick an itinerary that maybe overnights there, or, it has a better chance of it not being affected. There are definitely some ports that are more affected than others because of high water levels, or we come up with a contingency plan. Okay, you didn't get to go there, but we can move your plane ticket. We can get you on a train and head back there once you get off the ship. So there's different ways to handle it.
Okay, perfect. Well, from what I'm hearing is, number one, you probably shouldn't worry about it. If you're the type of person that's going to worry about it all the time, maybe you should consider another form of travel. But travel is just like that. like things can happen. And
that's what traveling is for, is to experience things that you don't know, to live the, unpredictable.
Well, Lauren, this has been great advice. Do you have any final thoughts or tips for our viewers who might be concerned about this?
My advice is to just go. Enjoy yourself. See what the world has to offer you, and you might just be surprised where you end up. It might be a wonderful surprise. You never know.
Sounds perfect. Sounds perfect. And if folks wanted to reach out to you, Lauren, about a possible river cruise vacation in Europe or elsewhere, how would they do that?
So info is below. Call, text, email, whatever works best for you. Works great for me, and I'd love to chat with you about how I can help you.
Fantastic. Fantastic. I'll leave that information in the description for those folks that might like to reach out. But just before we get out of here, what are we going to talk about next month?
Yeah, next month, I think that we're going to talk about Christmas markets.
That's actually kind of one of my favorite subjects because it brings the magic, and I'm a big fan of Christmas.
We are too, and it was my first river cruise I ever took.
Sounds great. I look forward to it. All right.
Yeah, thanks, Ken.
All right. So we'll see you next month.
Sounds great.
Take care. And that about wraps it up for today, folks. A very special thanks to my guest, Lauren Matthews of Cruise and Travel Specialists. If you'd like to reach Lauren about a possible river cruise vacation, I will leave her contact information in the description. If you'd like to reach us with a suggestion for a future video or an interview, you can send a question to questions@realtravelexperts.com. Visit our website, realtravelexperts.com, or simply leave a comment. We always respond. And as always, folks, if you enjoy this content, a like, subscribe, share, and ring of the bell is certainly appreciated and helps us to spread the word. So until next time, happy travels.